Let's take a look at careers today. We may define a career as an occupational position a person holds over the years. Career management is the process for enabling employees to better understand and develop their career skills and interests and to use them most effectively both within the company and after they leave. Career development is the lifelong series of activities, such as workshops, that contribute to a person's career exploration, establishment, success, and fulfillment. Career planning is the deliberative process through which someone becomes aware of personal skills, interests, or motivations, acquires information about opportunities and choices, identifies career-related goals, and establishes an action plan. People once viewed careers as a sort of upward stairway from job to job, more often than not with one or more firms. Today, many people do still move up, but many find themselves having to reinvent themselves. Careers today differ in ways from a few years ago. With many more women pursuing professional and managerial careers, families must balance the challenges associated with dual career pressures. What people want from their careers is changing too. Baby boomers, those retiring in the next few years, tended to be job and employer focused. People entering the job market now often covet opportunities for more balanced work lives. One implication is that what employers and employees expect for each other is changing. What the employer and employee expect of each other is a psychological contract. This is an unwritten agreement that exists between employers and employees. The psychological contract identifies each party's mutual expectation. For example, the unstated agreement is that management will treat employees fairly and provide satisfactory work conditions, hopefully in a long-term relationship. Employees are expected to respond by demonstrating a good attitude, following directions, and showing loyalty to the organization. The problem is, with today's labor markets, neither the employer nor the employee can count on long-term commitments for each other. That changes the psychological contract and makes career management critical. The employee, the manager, and the employer all have roles in an employee's career. For example, the manager should provide timely and objective performance feedback, offer developmental assignments and support, and have career development discussions with the employee. They should act as a coach, advisor, and mentor, listening to the employee's career plans, giving feedback, generating career options, and linking the employee to organizational resources. For its part, the employer should provide career-oriented training, development, and promotional opportunities, offer career information and career programs, and give employees a variety of career options. Ultimately, however, the employee is responsible for their own career. They must assess their interests, skills, and values and seek out career information resources. For the employee, career planning means they want to pursue occupations, jobs, and a career that capitalize on their interests, aptitudes, values, and skills. They should also choose jobs that make sense in terms of projected future demand. The manager and employer have a career management responsibility. These depend partially on how long the employee has been with the organization. For example, before hiring, realistic job interviews can help prospective employees more accurately gauge whether the job is a good fit for them. Especially for recent college graduates, the first job can be crucial in building confidence and a more realistic picture of strengths and interests. Having an experienced mentor who can help you learn the ropes is also important. Some refer to this as preventing reality shock, a phenomenon that occurs when a new employee's high expectations and enthusiasm confront the reality of a boring, unchallenging job. Periodic job rotation can also help the person develop a more realistic picture of what they're good at and the career moves that might be best. Once the person has been on the job for a while, career-oriented appraisals are important. The manager appraises the employee and coaches them to a feasible career path. Do not underestimate the impact that a supervisor can have on employee career development. While performance feedback and career advice help the employee get on the right career track, an unsupportive supervisor may inhibit their employee's career development for years. In a study of world-class leaders, one researcher says that the big surprise was the extent to which they engaged in ongoing, intensive, one-on-one tutoring of their subordinates. The manager can do several things to support subordinates' career development needs. Schedule regular performance appraisals, help them develop skills, and address whether performance is consistent with career aspirations. Keep subordinates informed about the organization's career-related benefits and encourage them to use them. Here, the manager may act as a mentor or coach. Mentoring means having experienced senior people advising, counseling, and guiding employees' long-term career development. Effective mentors set high standards, are willing to invest time and effort in the mentoring relationship, and actively steer proteges into important projects, teams, and jobs. They model the right behaviors and motivate and inspire those they're mentoring. Effective mentoring requires trust. Labor market turbulence has prompted many to ask why they should be loyal to their employer. Employees may think twice about being loyal if they expect to be let go when costs need to be cut. Employers today therefore have to think through how they're going to maintain employee engagement. They want to minimize voluntary departures and maximize employee effort. Career planning and development can play an important role in employee engagement. Managed effectively, the employer's career development process should send the signal that the employer cares about the employee's career success. With a career-oriented appraisal, the supervisor and employee jointly merge past performance, career preferences, and developmental needs into a formal career plan. Managers can help identify developmental activities that are appropriate given the employee's developmental needs and career preferences. The employer then organizes development activities around the person's needs. In reducing turnover, the logical place to start is by measuring the number of employees who leave. Employers calculate turnover by finding the percentage of the number of voluntary separations during the month by the average number of employees. People dissatisfied with their jobs are more likely to leave, but the sources of dissatisfaction are multiple. In one survey, the 5 top reasons that top-performing employees gave for leaving, ranked from high to low, were pay, promotional opportunities, work-life balance, career development, and healthcare benefits. In another study of motivation, social support and burnout correlated with turnover interventions. Other reasons employees leave include unfairness, not having their voices heard, and a lack of recognition. Practical considerations also affect turnover. For example, high unemployment reduces voluntary turnover, and some locales have fewer opportunities and thus less turnover. Losing low-performing employees isn't as problematic as losing high-performing employees. In any case, there's no silver bullet to managing turnover. The best retention strategies are therefore multifunctional and situational to the organization. Effectively conducted exit interviews provide useful insights into turnover problem areas. Many employers routinely administer attitude surveys to monitor employees about matters such as supervision and pay. Sometimes simply asking, all things considered, how satisfied are you with your job can be as effective as soliciting attitudes towards various facets of a job. Usually conducted by the employee's manager, the aim of a stay interview is to head off retention problems by finding out how an employee is doing. Unlike anonymous group surveys, stay interviews are one-on-one and reportedly provide useful information for reducing turnover and improving engagement. Having identified potential problems, the employer can take steps like the following to boost employee retention. The most obvious explanation for why employees quit is often the correct one: low pay. Particularly for high performers and key employees, enhanced pay has been the retention tool of choice for many employers. Retention starts up front, with the selection and hiring of the right employees. This refers not just to the worker, but also to hiring the right supervisor. Professionals who feel their company cares about their development and progress are much more likely to stay. Periodically discuss with employees their career preferences and prospects and help them lay out career plans. In one survey, workers identified flexible work arrangements and telecommuting as the two top benefits that would encourage them to choose one job over another. Retaining employees requires making it clear what your expectations are regarding their performance and what their responsibilities are. People can't do their jobs if they don't know what to do or what their goals are. Unfortunately, voluntary turnover is just one way that employees withdraw. At work, job withdrawal can also look like actions intended to place physical or psychological distance between employees and their work environment. Some types of job withdrawal are less obvious, like taking undeserved work breaks, spending time in idle conversation, and neglecting aspects of the job one is obligated to perform. The job withdrawal process tends to be incremental, often evolving from daydreaming to absences to quitting. Studies confirm the high cost of job withdrawal, so understanding its causes are important. People are repelled by situations that produce unpleasant, uncomfortable emotions and are attracted to those that produce pleasant, comfortable ones. The manager can therefore think of withdrawal reducing strategies in terms of reducing the job's negative effects or raising its positive effects. Potential negatives might include boring jobs, poor supervision, low pay, and poor working conditions. Potential positives include supportive supervision, equitable pay, career development opportunities, safe working conditions, and high morale colleagues. With more employees taking their jobs home via smartphones and iPads, employee detachment, as opposed to withdrawal, can be a good thing. They advise working out a system for ensuring some quality time away from work in these types of situations. Promotion processes must comply with all of the same anti-discrimination laws and other HR actions as in a typical external selection process. For example, Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act covers any terms, conditions, or privileges of employment. The employer should establish safeguards to ensure that promotion decisions don't prompt discrimination claims or claims of retaliation, as many do. One way to defend against such claims is to make sure promotion procedures are clear and objective. In setting promotion policies, one decision is whether to base promotion on seniority or competence or some combination of the two. If the firm opts for competence, it must define and measure competence. Defining and measuring past performance is relatively straightforward, but promotions should also rest on procedures for predicting the candidate's future performance. When they don't, employees and the courts may conclude that factors like who you know are more important than performance, and that working hard to get ahead is futile. Promotions aren't necessarily upward. Some employees may have little or no interest in promotion to managerial roles. Women constitute more than 45% of the workforce, but hold less than 2% of top positions. Discrimination may account for much of this. In one study, promoted women had to receive higher performance ratings than promoted men to get promoted, suggesting that women were held to stricter standards for promotion. Women report greater barriers, such as being excluded from informal networks, than do men, and have more difficulty getting into developmental assignments. Many employers obstruct women's promotional prospects from the beginning. Women are 18% less likely to be promoted to a manager. Organizations must recognize that this is a potential problem and ensure training and appraisal processes are proactively non-discriminatory. Men are more likely to have gotten promotions and raises, and to thus already be satisfied without asking for more. Managers need to execute promotion and compensation decisions equitably. Women are less likely to receive advice from managers on how to advance, so employers should improve mentoring and networking practices. Men are also less likely to consider gender diversity a priority. Some even see it as impeding their own advancement. So, the top manager should make it clear that they are fully committed to gender diversity. Organizations should institute career tracks that allow women to reduce their time at work. A transfer is a move from one job to another, usually with no change in salary or grade. Employers may transfer a worker to vacate a position where they're no longer needed, to fill one where they are needed, or to more generally find a better fit for the employee. Many firms today boost productivity by consolidating positions. Transfers are a way to give displaced employees a chance for another assignment or perhaps some personal growth. Employees seek transfers for many reasons, including personal enrichment, more interesting jobs, better hours, location of work, and so on, or to jobs offering greater advancement possibility. Transfer, for the firm's convenience, once widely used, is used less recently. Retirement planning is a significant issue for employers. In the United States, the number of 25 to 34-year-olds is growing relatively slowly, and the number of 35 to 44-year-olds is declining. With many employees in their 60s approaching retirement age, employers face a problem. Either retain and attract potential retirees, or face the possibility of not filling all their open positions. Many have wisely chosen to fill their staffing gaps in part with current or soon-to-be retirees. 78% of employees in one survey said they expect to continue working in some capacity after normal retirement age. The bottom line is that retirement planning is no longer just about helping current employees slip into retirement. It also should help the employer retain, in some capacity, the skills and brainpower of those who would normally retire and leave the firm. A reasonable first step is to conduct a numerical analysis of pending retirements and take fact-based steps to address the transitions. Employers may also be able to keep older workers by offering them part-time positions. There are four bases for dismissal. Unsatisfactory performance refers to a persistent failure to perform assigned duties or to meet prescribed standards on the job. Specific reasons include poor quality of work, excessive absenteeism, or an adverse attitude. Misconduct is the deliberate and willful violation of the employer's rules and may include stealing, rowdy behavior, sexual harassment, and physical violence or threats at work. Lack of qualifications for the job is an employee's inability to do the assigned work. Because this employee may be trying to do the job, it's reasonable to try to assign the employee to another. Changed requirements of the job is an employee's incapability of doing the job after the nature of the job has changed. Similarly, you may have to dismiss an employee when his or her job is eliminated. Insubordination, a form of misconduct, is sometimes grounds for dismissal. The two basic categories of insubordination are unwillingness to carry out the manager's orders and disrespectful behavior towards a manager. Dismissals are never easy. However, the manager can take steps to make them fair. First, allow the employee to explain why they did what they did. People who get full explanations of why and how termination decisions were made are more likely to perceive their layoff as fair and indicate that they do not wish to take it past the employer to court. Third, have a formal multi-step procedure including a warning and an appeal process. Fourth, the person who actually does the dismissing is important. Employees in one study whose managers informed them of an impending layoff viewed the dismissal fairer than those who were told, say, by a human resource manager. Fifth, dismissed employees who feel that they've been treated unfairly financially are more likely to sue. Many employers use severance pay to soften that blow. Most provide severance based on position level, salary, and tenure. Wrongful discharge occurs when a dismissal does not comply with the law. Avoiding wrongful discharge suits requires several things. First, have employment policies including grievance procedures that show that you treat employees fairly. Second, review and refine all employment-related policies, procedures, and documents to limit challenges. No termination is pleasant, but the first line of defense is to handle it justly. Courts may hold managers personally liable for their supervisory action. For example, the Fair Labor Standards Act defines employer to include any person acting directly or indirectly in the interest of an employer in relation to any employee. This can mean the individual supervisor. There are several ways to reduce the likelihood of having personal liability become an issue. Follow company policies and procedures. An employee may initiate a claim against a supervisor who they allege did not follow these procedures. Carefully consider and fully document the basis for any termination decision. Administer a dismissal in a manner that is sensitive not to add to employees' emotional hardship, as would having the employee publicly collect their belongings and leave the office. Do not act in anger, since doing so undermines the appearance of objectivity. Use the HR department for advice regarding how to handle difficult dismissal situations. Employers should use a checklist to ensure that dismissed employees return all property. For example, the employer should disable internet-related accounts for former employees, plug holes that could allow them to gain illegal online access, and have rules for return of company laptops and handheld devices. As a matter of policy and practice, the employer should immediately inform the IT department of an impending employee separation and enable IT to take necessary action. These actions should include disabling access and passwords and changing IP addresses as necessary. Dismissing an employee is one of the most difficult tasks you can face at work. First, plan the interview. Have the employee arrangements and human resource files and release announcements prepared in advance. Have phone numbers ready for medical and security emergencies. Get to the point. When the employee enters, give that person a moment to get comfortable and then tell them the purpose of the meeting and your decision. Describe the situation. Briefly, in 3 or 4 sentences, explain why the person is being let go. Listen. Continue the interview for several minutes until the person appears to be talking freely and reasonably calmly. Review the separation package. Describe severance payments, benefits, access to office support people, and the way references will be handled. Make no promises of benefits beyond those already in the supported package. Identify the next step. The terminated employee may be disoriented and unsure of what to do next. Explain where the employee should go next upon leaving the interview. With outplacement counseling, the employer arranges for an outside firm to provide terminated employees with career planning and job search skills. Many employers conduct an exit interview just prior to the employee leaving. These aim to give employers insights into their company's strengths and weaknesses so to improve employee retention. The exit interview is one part of a rational exit process. A layoff is usually not a permanent dismissal, although it may turn out to be so. Rather, it's a temporary one, which the employer expects to be short-term. However, some employers use the term layoff as a euphemism for discharge or termination. In the deep recession of the years 2008 and 2009 combined, employers carried out a total of about 51,000 mass layoffs, idling over 5 million workers. A study illustrates one firm's layoff process. Senior management first meets to make strategic decisions about the size and timing of layoffs. They also debate the relative importance of the skills the firm needed going forward. Downsizing means reducing, usually dramatically, the number of people employed. The basic idea is to cut costs and raise profitability. Downsizings require careful consideration of several matters. First is making sure that the right people are let go. This requires having an effective appraisal system in place. Second is compliance with all applicable laws, including the WARN Act. Third is executing the dismissals in a manner that's just and fair. Fourth is security, for instance, retrieving keys and ensuring that those leaving don't take prohibitive items with them. Fifth is reducing the remaining employees' uncertainty and addressing their concerns. This typically involves meetings where senior managers field questions from remaining employees. Providing advance notice regarding the layoff can help cushion the otherwise negative effects. So can interpersonal sensitivity in terms of the manager's demeanors during layoffs. Supportiveness and creativity are especially important in organizations that rely heavily on employee engagement and teamwork. Here, turnover is especially disruptive, so it may be particularly important to avoid layoffs. Options may include implementing pay freezes or hiring freezes before reducing the workforce.